Good evening, frozen snack enthusiasts. Today is a great day because we are finally covering a non-Bond film starring Timothy Dalton.
Do feel free to spool through.
Or co-starring, at least. Before we get into talking about Hot Fuzz, I do just want to take a moment to talk about Timothy Dalton's pre- and post-Bond career, because I've been covering non-Bond movies featuring Bond actors on this channel for a good few years now, and I've seen and reviewed many a Sean Connery film, Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, Roger Moore movies, and I've even talked about a non-Bond movie starring George Lazenby, for goodness sake, and we're only just now getting to a Dalton film. I did have to kind of wonder, why has this taken so long? I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that Dalton is often a supporting player in movies, in contrast to his fellow Bonds. I mean, well, yes, the obvious exception, but when it comes to Sean, Roger, Pierce, and Daniel, I can reel off a bunch of films for each of them where they are the stars, the big name on the poster, big image of them on the poster, and Dalton's quite different, and I think it's fair to say that he has had more success in TV, and most certainly on stage, than his fellow Bonds, but at the risk of starting this off on a controversial statement, I don't think of Dalton in movie star terms like I do the other Bonds. He has had many a memorable supporting role, films like Flash Gordon, Toy Story 3, The Rocketeer, Looney Tunes Back in Action, and the film that we're going to be talking about today, of course, but generally speaking, when I look at his filmography, it's a lot of stuff that I've never even heard of, but my god, do some of these titles sure stand out. The Beautician and the Beast, Saltwater Moose, The King's Hall. I desperately need to see all of these films. And obviously there's nothing wrong with this, it's just I find it interesting that Dalton clearly found his successes in other mediums when compared with other Bond actors. But if there's one non-Bond Dalton movie performance that I think most people would jump up to praise in the actor's resume, it's definitely Hot Fuzz, the 2007 released Edgar Wright-directed action comedy starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. This is one of those films that I feel like everyone has seen. I mean, certainly here in the UK. Much like with the Bond series, I think this plays on TV here at least a couple of times a month. And of the Wright, Pegg, Frost, Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, I'd stick my neck out and say that it's the most viewed and perhaps even the most well-known. It was certainly the most financially successful of the trilogy at the box office. It focuses on PC Nicholas Angel and his transition from being a high-achieving police officer in busy, bustling London to the small countryside village of Sanford, full of busybody old people. Angel takes some time to adjust and is initially quite bored by the town, but he makes friends with fellow police officer Danny Butterman, played by Nick Frost. Their friendship blossoms as several grisly murders are committed around the cozy town, and a number of residents draw Angel's suspicions, none more than Timothy Dalton's supermarket manager, Simon Skinner.
I'm a slasher, and I must be stopped.
You're a what?
A slasher.
Well, yeah, seems innocent enough to me. But no, he's a slasher of prices, of course, and my god, is Dalton fantastic in this film. To say he's the Bond most characterized as being humorless, not good with one-liners or gags and all that, he's hilarious in this film and just seems to be having a whole load of fun. He's a wonderfully comedic menace. I love that he's even part of one of the audio commentaries for the film. Like, we don't even have Dalton commentaries on his own Bond movies, but we have him on one for this film. Okay. And indeed, I don't have a bad word to say about any of the cast in this film. It's a universally phenomenal set of players, from Pegg and Frost right through to the glorious supporting ensemble, which seems even more glorious looking back on it now. Like, the number of cast members that have gone on to even wider acclaim since they made this film. I'm looking at you, Oscar winner Olivia Colman, and Westeros favourites Paddy Considine and Rory McCann. But yeah, this cast is insane. I mean, Jim Broadbent, Bill Nighy, Billy Whitelaw, Edward Woodward, Paul Freeman, Martin Freeman. I could go on, but unless this is literally the first British film you have ever seen, chances are you'll be doing that Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen thing for about half the film. It's a really wonderful collection of some of the best British comedic talent of the time, as well as veterans known for a lot of genre films, which brings just the right vibe to this. As much as it is a spoof of action movie tropes and the like, it also has a lot of horror elements in it. It's certainly full of gore, but I'm a big horror geek, so I feel like I got a lot out of that. Like all Edgar Wright films, the thing moves at a terrific pace, and even though there's there's a huge amount of characters in this, I don't think it ever feels overwhelming or relentless. It just zips along. Pretty much every other line is a gag, and the rapid-fire nature of it means that you can come back to it time and time again and pick up on new things or subtleties that you didn't realize on a first watch, and it's really effective for that. It's one of those really lovely, rich films that feels like every detail has been so well and deliberately curated, and if you're a film buff, there will be a lot of lines and references in here for you to enjoy. Just on a personal note, being born and raised in a small UK town too, I do love that this film really digs into the kind of provincial issues and busybody characters you find in these kinds of places. The whole neighbourhood watch being infuriated by a living statue performer appearing in the town square and that kind of thing just really tickles me. Sandford is not a real town, but filming took place in Wells in Somerset, which is Edgar Wright's hometown, and I think there's a wonderful mix of disdain and nostalgia for these kinds of places and the kinds of real life characters you find in them. It has a great sense of place and authenticity, and it's just something that you don't often see, like these kinds of action sequences playing out in quaint English town squares. I hadn't seen Hot Fuzz in a while, but I remember seeing it around about the time it came out, and it is a film that I remember being a major source of reference, inspiration, and admiration when I was at film school. I went to the Northern Film School in Leeds, and everyone who was there who wanted to be a director at that time looked at Edgar Wright and desperately wanted to be making the similar kind of kinetic, fun, accomplished, and heartfelt films that he was making. I remember liking the film a lot when I saw it back in 2007, but I hadn't come back to it in such a long time. I was kind of nervous that it might not hold up to the memories and associations I had with it, but it totally did, and then some. It's a funny, exciting, absolute blast of a film and features a former Bond in a key and fairly hilarious role. If you're a big Dalton fan, then this film is essential viewing.
Oh.
Thanks for watching, and as always, please do let me know your thoughts on this film in the comments section below. Also below, you can click the subscribe button and the Mrs. Bell notification button to stay super up to date on future video uploads that I'll make on this channel. There are also a variety of links to follow to my other social media pages, so please do feel free to follow me on those. And with all that being said, and until next time, my Scream fans, so long for now.